Hello, those who are always trying to stay healthy every day. I know everyone wants to live a healthy life, live long, live happily with their children and grandchildren. And we are advised, exercise every day to be good for the heart, blood pressure, bones and joints. But today I would like to say something that may surprise many people. There are exercises that we over 60 years old think are good, think that sweat is gold. But in fact they are silently eroding our hearts every day. Yes, I'm not exaggerating. There are exercises that seem harmless but stimulate the heart to beat too much, put pressure on the blood vessels, and over time, cause arrhythmia, high blood pressure, even stroke. Don't wait until your heart speaks with pain, with a missed beat, or with a midnight ambulance ride. In today's video, I will share 5 exercises that the elderly should stop immediately, because they not only wear down their health, but are also hidden enemies that are silently destroying the heart. Please stay until the end of the video because sometimes, just a small change today can save the whole journey of healthy living in the future. I'm Dr. Evan Bonehart, a healthcare specialist for the elderly focusing on bones, joints, and muscles. Welcome to Bones Health Seniors, a channel where we share knowledge, experience, and practical advice to help you better care for your elderly loved ones. Let's start with something I see all the time in gyms, parks, and even on YouTube channels that are supposed to be senior-friendly. That's long-duration cardio, things like jogging for 30-40 minutes or spending an hour on the elliptical machine, day after day. Now this one is tricky, because jogging has been promoted for decades as the golden standard for heart health. And it can be for younger folks or trained athletes. But for many older adults, long bouts of steady-state cardio, especially running or high-impact versions, can actually cause inflammation in the heart and strain your cardiovascular system in ways that aren't obvious right away. Think about it. Your heart is a muscle. And when you ask it to beat faster, harder, for a long period of time every single day, you're not just strengthening it. You might be wearing it down. Especially if you have underlying issues like high blood pressure, arrhythmia, or coronary artery disease, which many seniors do even if they feel fine. One woman I spoke to, her name's Linda, she's 67, said she was jogging 3 times a week because her doctor told her to stay active. But after a few months, she noticed something strange. She was getting more tired, not less. Her blood pressure was actually going up. And her heart rate took forever to come back down after a workout. When she finally saw a cardiologist, he said the repeated stress of that long cardio might have been part of the issue. Now, I'm not saying never get your heart rate up. Walking, dancing, swimming, those are wonderful. But pounding your body on pavement or pushing hard on a bike for an hour? That can lead to something called cardiac fatigue, especially in older adults. You don't need to outsweat your heart. You need to support it. Instead, try breaking up your movement into shorter chunks. Think 10 to 15-minute walks, 2 or 3 times a day. That can actually be more effective and a lot safer. You're giving your heart a chance to work but also a chance to recover. Alright, the next one might surprise you even more because it's often praised in fitness circles as the ultimate core move. I'm talking about sit-ups and crunches. Now, don't get me wrong, having a strong core is incredibly important, especially for balance and mobility. But traditional sit-ups and crunches? They're not doing your heart or your body any favors. In fact, they might be putting a dangerous kind of strain on both your cardiovascular and spinal systems. Here's why. When you do a sit-up, especially the old-fashioned kind where you hook your feet under something and pull your torso up, you're creating a ton of pressure inside your chest and abdominal cavity. That pressure can do something called the Valsalva maneuver, basically holding your breath while pushing hard, which spikes your blood pressure temporarily. For someone younger, that might just feel uncomfortable. But for someone over 60, especially anyone with high blood pressure or heart disease, that temporary spike can be risky. It's not worth it. Not when there are safer ways to build core strength. Plus, let's be real, how many people actually do sit-ups with perfect form? I've seen more neck injuries, back pain, and even hernias from seniors trying to do just a few sit-ups than I can count. So what can you do instead? Think about gentle, controlled movements. Seated marches. Standing side bends. Even something as simple as holding a gentle twist while seated and breathing deeply can strengthen your obliques without hurting your spine or overloading your heart. And let's not forget about planks. Modified planks on a wall or countertop can be a fantastic, heart-friendly way to engage your whole core. Let's take a second here. Have you ever felt dizzy, short of breath, or oddly fatigued after doing just a few exercises that you thought were supposed to be healthy? Share your story in the comments. I I guarantee there are people here who've been through the same thing, and knowing you're not alone makes a world of difference. Alright, now that we've talked about the hidden dangers of long cardio and those sneaky core crushers, let's move into something a little more unexpected. This next one might be something you're doing without even realizing how hard it is on your heart. So, we've talked about long-distance cardio and traditional sit-ups. Now let's turn our attention to something you might not even think of as exercise in the traditional sense, but it's one of the most intense things we can do to our bodies, especially as we age: high-intensity interval training. Yep, hit. Now I get it. The idea of short bursts of hard effort followed by rest sounds perfect, right? And for some younger folks, it is. You don't need to spend an hour in the gym, just push hard for 20 seconds, rest for 10, repeat. Sounds efficient. But for those of us over 60, that kind of intense stop-start, heart-pounding, sweat-dripping exertion can come at a big cost. Here's the problem. When you push yourself to maximum effort, your heart is forced to respond fast. It jumps from a resting pace to full throttle in a matter of seconds. And if your arteries are stiff, if you have mild arrhythmias, if you're on medications like beta blockers that change how your heart responds to exertion, this kind of rapid-fire activity can be jarring, even dangerous. One man I worked with, his name's Harold, he's 72. He got caught up in a trendy online program for active seniors that had him doing jump squats, push-up sprints, and burpees. He said it made him feel like he was back in his 30s, for about 2 weeks. Then he started experiencing chest tightness that lasted longer after each workout. When he finally went to urgent care, they told him he'd been putting serious strain on his heart and was lucky he hadn't passed out during one of the sessions. You don't have to go to extremes to get stronger. In fact, HIIT-style workouts, with their unpredictable and often chaotic intensity, can lead to spikes in blood pressure, irregular heartbeats, and even dehydration, all of which are much harder for aging bodies to recover from. If you like the idea of intervals, try gentle ones. For example, take a walk at your normal pace for 2 minutes, then pick it up just slightly for 30 seconds. That's it. Then repeat. No jumping, no pounding. Just a slight increase in effort and a clear awareness of how your body feels. Always remember, getting your heart rate up doesn't mean you need to feel like you're sprinting up a hill with a tiger behind you. Movement should feel energizing, not punishing. Alright, the next one is a little controversial, but stay with me. It's heavy lifting. And I mean literally lifting heavy weights. Now don't get me wrong, strength training is one of the best things you can do as you get older. Muscle keeps your metabolism healthy, supports your joints, and can even help regulate blood sugar and blood pressure. But there's a line, and a lot of people cross it without realizing. When you lift something that's just too heavy, especially over your head or from the floor, you put a huge amount of strain on your entire cardiovascular system. Your blood pressure can spike dramatically. Your breathing can become restricted. And again, you may accidentally perform that Valsalva maneuver where you hold your breath and strain, which can lead to dizziness, fainting, or worse. I remember a man named George who was proud of his home gym setup. He was 68 and lifting barbells that would make a 30-year-old pause. But every time he finished a set, he'd sit down, out of breath, sweating, heart pounding like crazy. He thought that meant he was doing it right, feeling the burn. But in reality, he was overloading his system and it was wearing him down. His doctor later found that his blood pressure was climbing and his resting heart rate was elevated, even hours after workouts. Strength training is still essential, but it has to be done with caution. Use lighter weights with more repetitions. Focus on form, not force. If you can't lift something without holding your breath or gritting your teeth, it's probably too heavy. And please always breathe with the movement. Exhale as you lift, inhale as you lower. If you're watching this and you've ever had a moment in the gym or even lifting something at home where your vision blurred or your heart pounded too fast, tell me in the comments. These aren't small warnings. These are your body's signals saying, slow down, I need help. Let's also talk for a second about exercise classes that try to combine everything at once. You know, the ones Zumba, Power Yoga, Senior Boot Camp. These are often labeled for all ages, but let's be honest, the pacing, the heat, the choreography, it can be overwhelming. There's a big difference between being active and being overstimulated. These classes can quickly push your heart rate out of a safe zone, especially when there's loud music, fast movement, and pressure to keep up. Even gentle-sounding yoga can become dangerous if it involves holding your breath or doing deep inverted poses like headstands or plow pose, which can sharply increase blood pressure and restrict blood flow to the heart. Don't get me wrong, I love that so many older adults are eager to move and be social. That's wonderful. But group fitness, especially when it's high energy, should always allow room for modification. You should never feel like you have to keep up or push through pain. Instead, look for gentle, heart-conscious classes. Think chair yoga. Think tai chi, think aqua aerobics. All of these still challenge your muscles, improve your balance and get your blood flowing, but they do it in a way that's kind to your heart. And speaking of kindness, sometimes the best thing you can do for your heart isn't another rep or another lap. It's listening. Truly listening. Your body has been through decades of living. It knows things. It has wisdom. And when it whispers or even shouts that something feels off, that you're too tired, too sore, or too dizzy, listen. If you've ever felt pressure to push through a workout because someone said pain is gain, or no excuses, I want you to know, those rules don't apply here. They never did. Let's shift the conversation around exercise. Let's stop thinking it has to hurt to work, that you have to sweat buckets or feel sore for days to make progress. That kind of thinking is outdated and for some of us, dangerous. We're here to build health, not break ourselves down. Now, there's one more type of exercise I need to talk to you about. It's something that seems harmless, even relaxing. But it may be quietly working against your heart, your circulation, and your energy. And that's where we're headed next. Now, let's talk about one more form of exercise that might surprise you, and not in a good way. This one sneaks under the radar because it looks peaceful, gentle, and even good for your posture. And in some ways, it is. But when it's overdone or done in the wrong way, it can quietly weaken your heart, limit your blood flow, and rob you of energy. I'm talking about prolonged static stretching, especially when it's done for long periods while standing still, holding poses for 2, 3, sometimes 5 minutes or more. Now, I'm not saying stretching is bad. Stretching is a beautiful, important part of any movement routine. But there's a difference between active stretching that helps you move better, and long, passive stretches that can reduce your blood pressure too much, slow your heart rate too much, and in some cases cause lightheadedness or even fainting, especially in older adults. I once spoke with a woman named Carol who told me that every morning, she started her day with a full-body yoga routine she found online. She'd hold forward bends for 4 minutes, stretch her hamstrings with a strap for 5 minutes on each leg, and finish with legs up the wall for 10 minutes. Sounds relaxing, right? But she started noticing something strange. When she stood up afterward, she'd feel dizzy. Her face looked pale. Her energy was zapped for the rest of the morning. And her blood pressure, which was already a bit low, started dipping to levels that made her feel faint. She thought it was just part of getting older. But in truth, her body was reacting to a drop in circulation from too much static stretching without movement. You see, your heart depends on muscle movement to help circulate blood efficiently. When you're completely still, even in a stretch, you're not getting that gentle muscle pump your heart loves. And if you're already on medications that lower blood pressure, or you've got a slower resting heart rate, this combination can create a situation where your blood flow gets sluggish, your brain doesn't get quite enough oxygen, and boom, you're dizzy, nauseous, or worse. So what can you do instead? Try dynamic stretching. That means moving gently through ranges of motion, like slow arm circles, gentle trunk twists, leg swings, or marching in place with a twist. These still lengthen your muscles, improve flexibility, and wake up your joints, but they keep your heart and circulation involved. And yes, you can still stretch lying down or in a chair, just don't hold it forever. Breathe through it. Stay aware of how your body feels. If your hands or feet go numb, or if you feel cold, lightheaded, or out of it, those are signs to move, not to stay frozen. All of this might sound like a lot to consider. And I understand when you've spent a lifetime being told that exercise is good for your heart, it's frustrating to learn that some exercises might be hurting it instead. But here's the truth, it's not about avoiding movement. It's about choosing the right kind of movement for where you are now. Your body has changed. And that's not a bad thing, it just means it has different needs. More wisdom. More intuition. And yes, more sensitivity to what helps and what harms. So let's recap gently, just so we can really let this sink in without sounding like a checklist. Running long distances every day? Not necessarily helping your heart. In fact, it might be tiring it out. Crunches and sit-ups that strain your neck and hold your breath? They're not doing your core or your cardiovascular system any favors. High-intensity interval training that makes you feel like you're chasing your own heartbeat? That's not the kind of excitement your body wants. Lifting weights so heavy that you can barely breathe or see straight afterward? Not worth it. And long, unmoving stretches that leave you feeling floaty, cold, or woozy? That's not peace, it's your heart asking for more gentle motion. Here's the beautiful part. None of these don'ts mean you have to stop exercising. Quite the opposite. They mean it's time to listen to your body and move in ways that heal it, nourish it, strengthen it without scaring it. Your heart is not a machine, it's a living, feeling part of you. It responds not just to the exercises you choose, but the way you approach them. Are you moving with kindness? With presence? With awareness? I want you to take that idea with you every time you move. Am I honoring what my body needs today? Because what worked for you in your 30s or 40s might not serve you now. That doesn't make you weak. That makes you wise. And when you move from wisdom, you gain something far more powerful than six-pack abs or a marathon medal. You gain longevity. Energy that lasts past the workout and into the rest of your day. So if any part of this video resonated with you, if you've ever felt like your workouts were wearing you down instead of lifting you up, I want to hear about it. Share your story in the comments. Someone else is going to read what you write and think, I'm not alone. And that's what this is really about. Not just getting stronger, but doing it together. Learning together. Supporting each other. If you know someone who's been pushing too hard or doing the wrong kinds of workouts without realizing it, send this video to them. Tag them. You might just be saving their heart literally. And hey, if you found this helpful, give the video a like so more people in our age group see it. YouTube is flooded with advice for 20-year-olds. Let's make sure the advice for us gets seen too. I've got a video coming up that talks about one of the worst things you can do first thing in the morning for your heart and metabolism, and trust me, most people do it without even thinking. Want to take a guess what it is? Drop it in the comments and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out when it drops. Remember this, we're not broken. We're not fragile. But we are different now. And the sooner we honor those differences, the sooner we unlock the kind of health that lasts not just through our 60s, but into our 70s, 80s, and beyond. So here's to moving better, to living longer, and to doing it together. Tag someone you care about and let's make healthy, heart-conscious choices together.